That's right. Well, then let's just jump right in. Federico,
Yep.
welcome to Kicking Tables. We're here to talk about your game Multi, which Tico and I have already reviewed, and we loved it. But for
Yeah.
those who haven't seen that, for those who don't know what the game is, why don't you jump in and tell us what is Multi?
Cool. So, I mean, I can show you the front of the box here. Just, it's basically a tic-tac-toe game with nine tic-tac-toe games inside of a big tic-tac-toe board. And it's a game I came up with for my students, which was kind of age range anywhere from like kindergarten and up.
Okay.
And I found it was super fun and had a lot of interesting tactics related to tic-tac-toe, but the we embedded the multiples into the nine boards and had a mechanic that sort of made you think about the numbers, but it wasn't like you were doing calculations in your head necessarily. It was like
Yeah.
the numbers just gave a certain texture to the gameplay.
Right.
And yeah, it was really just for students, and then it was so fun that really decided to do a Kickstarter, and that's sort of the origin of the game.
Yeah, your Kickstarter was last year, or was it last year? 2019.
Yeah,
And
end of 2019.
yeah, and so what I loved about Multi was yes, it's tic tac toe. It's you have to win three boards in a row to win the entire game, but it's not just tic tac toe. It's tic tac toe with a twist. So explain that twist and how that works.
Yeah, so you basically get to put a token down as a first player on one of the nine numbers, one through nine. And then you take turns and placing or moving a token on this factor board, which is separate from the actual tic-tac-toe board itself. And basically, every time you move one of the tokens, you're changing the two factors that you're multiplying together, and so that tells you where you can play on those nine boards. So sometimes you can get as many as put down four X's or four O's in one turn. It's like a quadruple play.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of go, thinking about tic-tac-toe, basic tic-tac-toe, you just play on one board, and it basically, once you learn the strategy, it always ends in a cat's game.
Yes.
Whereas this game, you have to balance the offense and defense as you're playing on nine different boards. And there's certain sort of twists where, you can sort of back your opponent into a corner and then have them not be able to actually make a move, and then you can actually move both tokens and then capture, get a second turn. And what I found after playing for many years is that the strategy is sufficiently complex that even when I'm playing against, like whether it's a younger student or a middle school student or another adult, you can't really tell who's going to win until kind of the end game.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it just kind of leads to these sort of kind of like chess where you think a few steps ahead, and it
Yeah.
gets complicated enough a few steps ahead where you're not really sure what's going to happen. So you kind of have to go with your gut, and you develop some intuition as you play it.
It's funny you bring up chess because that was something that Tico said in our review was this is like tic-tac-toe meets chess because there is a lot of strategy involved in tic-tac-toe. And that's just
Yeah.
brilliant. The fact that you've taken such a simple game that a lot of people don't even play anymore because, like you said, once you know the strategy, it's always going to be a tie. To take that and literally make it a chess-like thinking game, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, we both really enjoyed it, and I really loved that you had to think ahead. I think I got Sean. I won the game on Sean, where I'm like, I had a move that worked out that I managed to put down two X's at once, which gave me the full big line as
Yeah.
well.
And I completely
And
missed it.
completely missed it. It was such a satisfying feeling of being able, like, oh, he doesn't see this. Oh, this is going to be fantastic. I even taunted him beforehand. It's like there's only one thing you can do to win, and he didn't do that one thing. And it was such a satisfying feeling. I absolutely loved it. what was the age group that you like developed this for at first? Like, what was the age group that you were working with when you actually came up with the idea?
Yeah, so I was a math director for K through 8 school
Okay.
and ran sort of the curriculum and everything. So I had a lot of play testers. So I went with, as young as kindergarten actually, in really
Wow.
small groups, like just with like a few kids at a time.
Yeah.
Really having to hold their hand, and not that they understood multiplication in the complete sense, but they understood how to place the X's and O's. And after like one or two games, they were playing the game. So, and then all the way up through, I had, middle schoolers. I've played with kids as old as seventh and eighth grade, and I've played with adults too, obviously. But yeah, so the original age range was targeting the standards in like math standards for like third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Those are the grades that
Hmm.
you typically want to develop an understanding for factors and multiples and the
Yeah.
relationship between the two. And I studied pure math, so like I always have been trying to bring in kind of this like lens on math as more than just the computational side. It's more about the structure and the beauty of like how things relate to each other. And so that's why like it's not about the game actually shows you what all the
Hmm.
answers to the multiples
Yeah.
are, because
Right.
it's not about calculating. Like you can grab a calculator if you need to check something. It's more about the structure creates the I mean, in reality, all games have this mathematical structure underlying that
Sure.
you don't always have like right in your face, like in this game.
Right.
Yeah.
But every game from Gloomhaven, I was just looking at Gloomhaven because I met one of the vice presidents on there on Clubhouse today. I was just talking to him, and I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize you were the guy that the guy that's running the Gloomhaven publisher." But you look at these games where there's all these numbers involved, and
Hmm.
there is a mathematical structure underlying, and so in this case, it just kind of aligned that the game came to me through various iterations of trying to make games for my students. Um, and in this case, it was just so fun every time I played it, and I never had an experience where a student was like, ah. It was always kind of hitting, and after a while, I just sort of took the hint and tried to make it into something. So
Yeah, it is one of the games that you just want to keep playing over and over again because it really is that much fun. But now, Joyful Mathematics is your company that published the game. Tell us a bit about Joyful Mathematics and what you do there.
yeah, so I basically wanted to start a company that I could sort of take some of these ideas of how to make math more accessible, inclusive, kind of in reality, like the sort of central mission is to like rebrand mathematics. And when you make a math game, there's already a stigma against it as being kind of lame and focused on like computation. Like that's what anyone, when they think of a math game, they're like, oh, you're going to get better at your multiplication facts, or you're going to get better at whatever computation. But joyful math was really guided by this mission that I've sort of always felt, which is that math is a human endeavor. It's beautiful and central to who we are. It actually, it predates like literacy. It's prehistoric, and unfortunately, we've been kind of like separated from it because of the way it's been taught and focused on speed and calculation. So,
Yeah.
joyful mathematics is it's not just games. I've also been developing some kind of like these like tiles that are more of like just fun sort of free form puzzle type thing where it comes from a fractal that my students designed, and just kind of play testing different things, trying to design for joy. That's
Right.
kind of central, right?
Yeah.
Like joy should be the experience,
Yeah.
and underlying should be this beautiful mathematics that doesn't always have to be like super in your face and look like what you think math is.
I've always been a lover of math personally. I took math, every math I could possibly do through high school, and I've always loved math. So when I heard about your game, And I'm like, a game based on math? It's like, yes, I want to review this. How quickly can you send it? It was awesome.
So how do you see this game being used as a teaching aid for is this something that you see being used in schools and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, so one of the best examples actually comes from Canada. A teacher, Nat Banting, he picked up the game and started in Saskatchewan. He started like a province-wide tournament with
Wow.
teachers playing. Using. I gave him permission to use a print and play version, a digital version. He put it up
Yeah.
on like Google Slides and shared those with the teachers that wanted to sign up. And then they basically played against other schools. So the classroom themselves, they had to kind of debate like what's the next move we should make, and then they would send it kind of like pen pal style,
Oh,
just like
Yeah.
nice.
kind of like chess type stuff,
Yeah,
right?
chess by mail.
Yeah, so it was kind of like that, and man, it was like really successful. I don't know how many schools ended up using it, but I was a little hesitant. I'm new to the industry. It's like the IP type stuff where it's like, but I was like, I'm gonna take a risk, and worst case scenario, a bunch of kids get to play the game, and
Yeah.
but I mean, definitely got a few. I think I got a few sales out of it, and it was a good business move too. I'm not really savvy in terms of that side of the thing. Like I really just wanted to get some joy out into the world, right? So, but yeah, so that's kind of one way. Certainly, you can buy the board game itself and have it in your room as an activity. But I actually on my website I have a teacher guide and a home guide.
Okay.
And it kind of just leads you through kind of the Socratic method of like, what would you first thing show the board, like just what do you notice, what do you wonder about this, like just let the students pick out the patterns that they see without even looking at the rule book or anything. And then sort of through that there's various levels of depth that you can go all the way down to like maybe a high school student might try to write code to try to figure out what's the
Sure.
optimal strategy or something like that.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
Now, you must have some great or even wonderful stories of kids actually learning their multiplication factors from this. Have you experienced that? Have you found kids playing the game and actually almost like having that aha moment when it came to the multiplication board?
yeah, I mean, I think whenever you're doing this sort of like, what do you notice? What do you wonder about the board? Things come out like, where are the squares? The squares are whenever you have a number times itself, and where are there's symmetries around, like where are all the multiples of 5? They're always in the center of each board. Where are all the multiples of 9? They're in the bottom right corner. And so there's a lot of those kind of moments where they're developing that, and then certainly just the notion that you're exploring multiples, and students are, each move that they make, they're gonna have to think about, like, if I move this there, and they're gonna think about where are all the multiples of that, and they might do, say, 20 or 30 operations over the course of a few minutes and not even realize it, because they're just doing it sort
Right.
of like using the board. And
Yeah.
so again, like, the reality is, like, the way I teach math, and like I'm more interested in them just developing that sort of intuition about the structure than
Sure.
than memorizing. But the memorizing comes from just like as you play a game, it just comes
Repetitive.
more
Yeah.
naturally. Yeah.
Yeah, for
So.
sure. Absolutely.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the future plans for Joyful Mathematics? Are you developing like a Candyland that teaches us long division or something like that?
So, the big thing I'm working on right now is based on some cards that actually I was just beta testing. It's hard because I don't have a classroom right now.
Yeah.
So it's hard to beta test like I used to. But basically, they're like they're called I call them numeroso cards. But like, I can show you, like, this is 9,
Oh,
which
yes.
is right.
Okay.
So
Three
it's
by
it's
three.
got it's got like the designs for the factorization of each number, which
Oh, neat. Okay.
I've included this actually in the print and play of the multi-game, where instead of having like the arrays for each number, I have like this is called a factorization diagram. So I wanted to create a card game that has the numbers 1 through 52, so it would feel like a deck of like poker cards.
Yeah.
And the prime numbers actually have like this crazy pattern on it, which is like a rainbow pattern. It's kind of like an Easter egg for the super math nerds because it's comes from the Riemann hypothesis, the Riemann zeta function.
Nice.
But it's just the game I'm developing right now is sort of like it's inspired heavily from Magic the Gathering, which I'm not sure if I should say or not. But
no, but that's awesome.
So it's like the prime numbers are like they act like sort of the mana, and then the creatures are the composite numbers. And there's a variety of rules that allow you to sort of also use the prime numbers as like a defensive wall. So they have like 0 and then their number as the defense. And so just
awesome.
trying to develop again with like I just had my friend come over who also he's developed like some math video games and stuff. So we've been sort of working together over the years on a lot of different things, and it's super fun. But you as opposed to with multi where I had almost a decade of testing behind it, this is just like a few years. I've only had like a couple years to play these games, so I'm just hesitant to release it. So I've been sitting on it for a while.
But that sounds amazing.
Yeah, that sounds really fun.
I want to see that once you're done. That's awesome.
All right. So our next segment here is our lightning round. I'm not sure if you've seen this or not. We want to find out a little bit more about you as a gamer. So we've got is it 8? They're not numbered. I think it's 8 questions. So I'm going to rapid fire at you. Just give us your first impression thing, just so we can learn a little bit more about you. How's that sound?
Sounds great. I didn't watch this segment, so
all right, good. Brand new. All right. So these are all game night related questions. So campaign or legacy games?
Campaign.
All right. Game you love but always lose?
Multi.
Chess.
Chess.
I always play against really good players.
The last game that you played?
Numeroso.
Awesome.
All right. Game you most want to add to your collection?
Gloomhaven. After taking a look at they're really nearby too, so maybe I can get a free copy from the publisher if I go visit.
That would be nice. The game that you always win?
I'm trying to think, like maybe it might be Tic-Tac-Toe, like against my daughter who's 4. Depends on who you're playing.
You got about another year before she's gonna wipe the floor with you. Competitive or cooperative?
I'm a cooperative. I like cooperative games for sure.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Worker placement or area control?
Area control.
And Marvel or DC?
That's hard because I'm like a super, like Superman was like growing up I was all about Superman comics, and but they just haven't done a good job. Like they keep messing up things, and Marvel right now is definitely hitting those. But that said, I feel like the Snyder Cut was like pointing towards maybe they'll do better. So I don't know. I'm torn. I'll go with DC because I believe in them. They'll come back.
Yeah, the Snyder Cut was like superb. The Snyder Cut was amazing. I will agree with that. That it really redeemed the movie, that's for sure. Well, Federico, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Before we let you go, give us the elevator pitch for Multi. Why should people buy this game?
So Multi is super fun. You have to just play it to believe it. whether you're playing against, like you're playing against your 6, 7, 8 year old, or you're playing against another adult, it's gonna be a game that you enjoy, and whoever you're playing against is gonna enjoy, and you're gonna want to play it again and again, like you said. So you got to give it a chance. It's not like your regular old-fashioned math game. It's a legit strategic game that I think anyone can love. So
And it's not your old-fashioned tic-tac-toe either. So
that's right.
we absolutely agree. It is definitely a game you want to play over and over again. Federico, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about multi, you can go to my website, joyfulmathematics.com/multi. And if you enjoyed this video and want to watch more just like it, you can subscribe right here. OMG Nexus has lots of videos like this. So give them a like and a subscribe.